You trust them, you talk to them every day. But what if I told you someone close to you is secretly working with the police right now? And what they're planning could destroy everything in a single night. This isn't a movie. This is happening closer than you think. You trust them. You laugh with them. You share your food, your problems, your secrets. You never once suspect them. And that is exactly why it works. Because the most dangerous enemy is never the one standing in front of you with a weapon, it is the one sitting beside you with a smile. Right now, as you listen to this, someone close to you is secretly working with the police. You may greet them every morning. You may talk to them every night. You may even love them. And what they are planning will change everything. This story does not begin with sirens or gunshots. It begins with silence. A silence so ordinary that no one notices it. A silence inside a small room where a man sits alone at a metal table. His hands are shaking. Not because he is afraid, but because he has finally decided. For months, he has lived 2 lives. One life where he is just another ordinary person, and the other life where every word he speaks could put someone in prison. Tonight, he chooses which life becomes real. His phone vibrates once. A short message appears on the screen. 3 words only. Are you ready? He stares at the message for a long moment. This is the point of no return. If he replies yes, everything changes. If he replies no, he may never get another chance. He types with trembling fingers. Yes. You don't know his name yet. And that is intentional. Because if you knew his name, you might recognize him. And if you recognized him, you would understand how terrifying the truth really is. 3 months earlier, the police had no idea how deep the criminal network went. They knew crimes were happening, but every lead went cold. Every suspect had an alibi. Every witness suddenly forgot what they saw. It was as if someone was always one step ahead. Someone was cleaning up the mess before the police could even arrive. That is when they realized the truth. The network was not protected from outside. It was protected from inside. People trusted each other too much. And that trust was hiding everything. The man who would later become the informant had never planned to work with the police. He had grown up with these people. He shared meals with them. He shared childhood memories with them. Some of them had saved his life once. Loyalty was not a word to him. It was a law. Breaking it meant death, not just physically, but socially, emotionally, completely. Yet loyalty is easy when life is simple. Loyalty becomes complicated when you see blood on the floor and fear in innocent eyes. The first crack appeared on an ordinary night. A shipment went wrong. No one was supposed to get hurt. That was the rule. No civilians. No unnecessary violence. But rules change when money is involved. A young delivery driver happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. One mistake. One argument. One shot fired in panic. When the man saw the body fall, something broke inside him. The driver could have been his brother, could have been his friend, could have been him. That night he could not sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the blood spreading across the concrete. He heard the choking sound of a life ending too fast. The others laughed it off. They said it was business. They said fear keeps people quiet. They said this is how the world really works. But he no longer believed them. For the first time in his life, he felt trapped by the very people he once felt protected by. Days later, he noticed something strange. A small unmarked car parked near his building more often than usual. The same car at different hours. Nothing obvious. Just present. He told no one. He simply watched. One evening, as he walked home alone, a man stepped out of the shadows and spoke his name. Calmly, clearly, without threat. "We know you didn't fire the shot," the man said. "And we know you didn't want it to happen." That was the moment everything changed. The police officer did not arrest him. He did not threaten him. He simply spoke the truth with frightening accuracy. He described meetings no one outside the group should have known about. He mentioned coded phrases used in private conversations. He named people by their nicknames. Then he made the offer. "You can continue pretending nothing happened, and one day that blood will be on your hands. Or you can help us stop it." Becoming an informant is not like the movies. There is no dramatic handshake. No secret room with glowing screens. It begins with denial, with fear, with nights of vomiting in silence, with paranoia so intense you start checking mirrors just to breathe. The man refused at first. He told himself it was not his problem. He told himself he could not fight something this big. He told himself the police always lose. But the images kept returning. The body on the floor. The mother who would never see her son again. The life that ended for nothing. 2 weeks later, he went back to the same street where the officer had stopped him. He stood under the broken street light for almost an hour, unsure if anyone was watching. Then he whispered into the air, "I will help." The officer stepped out of the darkness like he had been there the entire time. From that moment on, the man became to people. By day, he was exactly who everyone knew. Same jokes, same routines, same loyalty. By night, he became a shadow inside the system, passing information in fragments, times, locations, names spoken only once. Each detail a knife slowly cutting into the structure from the inside. The danger was constant. Every message he sent could be traced. Every delay in his behavior could raise suspicion. He had to pretend nothing weighed on him while his entire body lived in constant survival mode. When his phone rang, his heart stopped. When someone looked at him too long, his mouth went dry. When footsteps approached from behind, he prepared for death. And yet, the most terrifying part was not that he could be killed. The most terrifying part was that the people who would kill him were people he once loved. One of them sat with him every evening. They shared drinks. They shared memories. They shared silence. This man spoke often about loyalty, about how betrayal deserves the worst punishment, about how snakes must be burned alive so others learn. The informant listened carefully to every word, nodding along, smiling, hiding the truth behind his eyes. Each sentence felt like a warning sent directly to his soul. The police, on the other hand, were planning something much bigger than arrests. They were watching, mapping, waiting. They wanted the entire network, not just the visible parts. The informant was their key inside the maze. Through him, they learned how decisions were made, how money moved, who gave orders, and who simply followed them. Piece by piece, the invisible structure became visible. Then came the message that terrified the informant more than anything else so far. The police suspected there was a second hidden leader. Someone no one talked about. Someone who never gave direct orders. Someone who appeared invisible. And the police believed this hidden leader might be someone extremely close to the informant. Someone he trusted completely. That thought nearly destroyed him. Because when he looked around, the possibilities were unbearable. It could be the man who once saved him in a fight. It could be the woman who treated him like family. It could even be the person who checked on him every single morning to see if he was okay. The idea that the real monster might be smiling directly at him every day shattered his sense of reality. Then something happened that confirmed his worst fear. One night, a planned operation failed before it even began. The police had exact times, exact locations, exact movement patterns. And yet when they arrived, everything was already gone. Clean, empty, perfectly erased. Someone had warned the network. Someone with access to information only a few people possessed. The hidden leader was real. And they were extremely close. From that moment onward, the informant was not just risking exposure from one side. He was now trapped between two forces, both hunting for leaks. If the network found him, he would die without mercy. If the hidden leader suspected him, he would disappear without a trace. And if the police failed, he would be left alone in a world that would never forgive him. The stress began to change him. He lost weight. His eyes darkened. His hands trembled even when he tried to relax. He started missing sleep. At times he questioned his own memories. At times he wondered if the hidden leader was manipulating him through subtle conversations, testing him without him realizing it. Trust became impossible. Every word from anyone felt like a trap. Then came the discovery that changed everything. Through a combination of wire data and indirect reports, the police narrowed the hidden leader down to two possible people. Only two. And one of them was the person closest to the informant's life. The one person he would never have suspected. The one person he protected with his own reputation. The one person he called family. The truth hit him like poison in the blood. All the past conversations suddenly made sense. The strange questions. The timing of moves. The constant positioning near key events. The hidden leader was not a shadow. The shadow was pretending to be light. But the most horrifying part was not who the hidden leader was. It was what he was planning. The police discovered that a massive operation was being prepared. One that would not just move money. One that would not just erase enemies. It was something designed to cause chaos on a public level. Something that would look like an accident. Something that would kill dozens of people without anyone understanding why until it was far too late. And the hidden leader was waiting for the perfect moment. The informant now carried a burden heavier than fear. He carried the knowledge that people who had done nothing wrong would die if he failed. The police told him he had one chance to save them. He would need to stay close. Gain trust even deeper. Pretend loyalty more convincingly than ever before. And when the moment came, he would need to deliver one final piece of proof that would allow the police to act without delay. If he failed, they would not have enough legal ground to move in time. From that moment on, his life became a countdown. Every conversation was a test. Every meeting a performance. He was trapped beside the very person whose plan could kill innocent people. He smiled. He agreed. He listened. And all the while, he secretly gathered fragments of confirmation. A time mentioned here. A coded phrase there. A change in logistics. A sudden movement of resources. Each detail pushed the evidence closer to completion but also increased suspicion around him. The hidden leader began watching him differently. The informant felt it immediately. The casual glances turned into studies. The friendly questions turned into strategic probes. Conversations circled around loyalty and betrayal more often than ever. One evening, the hidden leader looked directly into his eyes and calmly said, "You know, the worst enemies are the ones who eat at your table." The informant forced a laugh while his heart screamed inside his chest. The final signal came unexpectedly. A change in schedule that only the real leader could authorize. That was the proof the police needed. The informant transmitted the information through the one channel that had not yet been compromised. When the message sent successfully, he knew there was no turning back. The operation would begin within hours. He went home that night knowing it might be the last time he would ever sleep in his own bed. The next morning unfolded with terrible normality. People walked the streets unaware. Cars moved through intersections. Children went to school. Coffee was poured into cups. Life moved forward completely ignorant of the danger waiting beneath its surface. The hidden leader went about his routine as if nothing unusual was happening. He laughed. He shook hands. He made calls. Exactly like any other day. But beneath the ordinary, forces were moving. Unmarked vehicles began positioning silently. Surveillance units locked into place. Command centers monitored live feeds. The police were finally ready. The informant's role was not finished. He still had to be near the hidden leader at the exact moment the operation would be triggered. The police needed his physical confirmation to move without hesitation. If he hesitated, even for seconds, innocent lives could be lost. They met at a location that appeared harmless. A place no one would suspect as the center of something deadly. The hidden leader was calm. Calm. The informant sensed the moment approaching. His skin burned with fear. His mind raced with possibilities. Had he been discovered? Was this a trap? Was the entire plan already compromised? At the exact minute predicted, the hidden leader received a short call. His expression changed for the first time. Just a flicker. Almost invisible. But the informant saw it. And he knew. This was it. He sent the final confirmation. Just one coded word. That was all it took. Within seconds, everything exploded into action. Police units closed in from every direction. The hidden leader realized what was happening instantly. He turned toward the informant not with rage, but with disbelief. A look of betrayal crossed his face, not as a criminal but as a brother. In that look, years of shared history collapsed into a single second. The informant felt the weight of it like a physical blow. But he did not move. He did not speak. He simply stood as the handcuffs clicked into place. Across the city, arrests happened simultaneously. Operations were shut down. Evidence was seized. The network that once believed itself untouchable collapsed in a matter of minutes. The public would never fully know how close they had come to disaster. And the informant? He vanished. No public recognition. No celebration. No closure. He entered a witness protection program under a new identity. A new face. A new life in a city where no one knew his past. To the world, he simply disappeared. To the people who once trusted him, he became a ghost. Sometimes, late at night, he still wakes up thinking he hears familiar footsteps outside his door. Sometimes he still reaches for a phone that no longer exists. Sometimes he still wonders whether the people he saved would ever understand what it cost him. But there is one thing he knows with certainty. Someone close to you can be working with the police this very moment. They could be your friend, your neighbor, your coworker, even your family member. Not because they are evil, but because they finally decided they could no longer watch innocent people suffer in silence. And if you ever feel sure that you know everyone around you completely, remember this story. Because the most dangerous plans are always hidden behind the most familiar faces. After the arrests made headlines, the world moved on faster than the truth ever could. News channels reduced months of fear, deaths, and secret planning into short breaking news segments. Faces were blurred. Names were hidden. The public was told that an anonymous inside source helped prevent a major tragedy. No one saw the sleepless nights. No one felt the constant terror of being discovered. No one heard the silent screams inside the man who made it possible. In his new life, the informant was given a new name, a new history, and a new city. The authorities told him he was safe now, safer than before. But safety is a strange word when your past still walks beside you in every shadow. He moved into a small apartment in a quiet neighborhood where nobody asked questions. Neighbors waved politely. Shopkeepers learned his new name. To everyone around him, he was just another ordinary man starting over. But inside, the war never ended. Every unfamiliar sound made his heart race. Every knock on the door felt like the last knock of his life. When a car slowed down outside his building, he held his breath. When someone stood too close in an elevator, his muscles tensed. He slept lightly, always prepared to run. His dreams were the worst. In his dreams, the handcuffs never clicked on. In his dreams, the hidden leader always escaped. In his dreams, the betrayal never ended. Sometimes he saw their faces clearly. The ones who had laughed with him. The ones who had trusted him. The ones who would now spend decades behind walls of steel because of information that passed through his hands. He told himself it had to be done. He reminded himself of the innocent lives he saved. He repeated the reasons like a prayer. But guilt is not something logic can erase. Months passed. Then a year. Slowly, the world began to treat the entire case as old news. New scandals took its place. New dangers filled the headlines. The operation that once held so many lives in balance became just another story in the endless stream of information. The public never learned how close they had come to disaster. They never knew that one calm morning could have turned into chaos. They never understood that someone stood between them and tragedy without anyone noticing. The informant carried that knowledge alone. One evening, while watching the news from his silent apartment, a short report appeared on the screen. One of the arrested leaders had died in prison from a sudden illness. The camera showed only a building. No face. No name. Just a few seconds of confirmation that another chapter had closed. For most people, it meant nothing. For the informant, it felt like a ghost had finally stopped breathing. He turned off the television and sat in the dark. It was then that he realized something terrifying and strangely peaceful. For the first time in years, no one was hunting him. The network was shattered. The hidden leader was exposed. The police no longer needed him. The game that had controlled his life from behind the scenes was finally over. There was no next mission. No next secret. No next countdown. Just a quiet life waiting to be lived by someone who had forgotten how to live normally. Freedom, he discovered, was not instant joy. It was silence so loud it felt unnatural. For so long, fear had given his life structure. Now that fear was gone, he had to learn who he was without it. He tried simple things first. Walking outside without constantly scanning his surroundings. Ordering food without choosing a seat with the best escape route. Letting his phone ring without assuming it meant danger. Each small act felt unnatural, like learning to use a body that had healed from a long illness. One afternoon, a child in the neighborhood fell off a bicycle in front of him. The child started crying in panic. Without thinking, the man rushed forward, helped the child up, brushed the dust from his clothes, and spoke gentle words. The child smiled through tears and rode away. It was a small moment, but it struck him deeply. For the first time, his hands were not carrying secrets. They were simply helping. That night, he cried for reasons he could not explain. He was not proud of what he had done. He was not ashamed either. His life existed in a strange space between hero and traitor, a place only he truly understood. To the criminals, he would always be a betrayer. To the law, he would always be a tool. To the public, he would always be unknown. And to himself, he would always be the man who chose the harder side of right. Sometimes he wondered what would have happened if he had said no that night under the broken streetlight. Sometimes he imagined an alternate life where none of it happened. But those thoughts never lasted long. Because in every version of the world where he stayed silent, people died. Years later, in a completely different city, another person would one day stand in the same position he once stood in. Another ordinary life would brush against the edge of something criminal. Another impossible choice would appear without warning. Because this cycle never truly ends. Networks fall. New ones rise. Silence competes endlessly with conscience. And somewhere in that endless chain of quiet decisions, another person will someday type a simple word into a phone. Yes. The police will never announce their name. The news will never show their face. History will not remember them. But lives will be saved because of them. Families will grow older in safety because of them. Streets will remain peaceful because of them. And no one will ever know. You may believe that betrayal always comes from greed. That people only turn on others for money, revenge, or power. But sometimes, it comes from the simple refusal to accept that evil should go unchallenged. Sometimes, the person who breaks the rules is the only one trying to save what still matters. So the next time you feel absolutely certain that you know everyone around you, remember this. Some of the bravest battles are fought in silence. Some of the most dangerous wars are never seen. And some of the people you trust the most are quietly standing between you and disaster, without ever asking for thanks. Because someone close to you may be secretly working with the police, not to destroy your life, but to protect lives you will never even know were in danger. And the most frightening truth of all, you will never know who they are. Unless the day comes when disbelief arrives at your own door in the form of flashing lights and sealed truth. And by then, the story is already over.